Let's bring in Jonathan Turley, George Washington University law professor and a Fox News contributor. Let's get to Swalwell in just a second. But I wanted to reiterate for our folks at home what James Comer said about a contempt of Congress charge against Hunter Biden when he appeared on this program on Friday. Listen here.
Hunter Biden displayed the arrogance and entitlement that we felt like he's had the whole time. When he showed up at the exact same time he was supposed to be in for a deposition, a normal deposition from a normal congressional investigation, and he just goes out and basically gives Congress a middle finger, goes out and says he wants to make a statement and have a press conference.
Well, it wasn't exactly a press conference because typically in press conferences you answer questions of the press. He just made a statement and then turned on his heel, got back into his car and left. Again, let's get to Swalwell in just a second, but where do you think the contempt of Congress proceedings are going to go with Hunter here?
Well, this is a slam dunk case for contempt, in my view. It was a valid subpoena. There's a lot of nonsense out there about how the vote to formally approve the impeachment inquiry came afterwards, and so somehow Hunter could just defy the earlier subpoena. That's just not true. I mean, the subpoena was issued on behalf of two committees. They listed 3 different grounds. That includes the Oversight Committee that has independent subpoena authority. You can't just defy a subpoena. He could go in, he could appear and not answer questions under the Fifth Amendment. That's your option. But you can't stand outside the Capitol and just thumb your nose at Congress.
All right, so let's get to Swalwell now, because the California Democrat appeared to be acting as a Sherpa of sorts when Hunter Biden was on the Hill. Apparently, he used his credentials to reserve the spot across the street from us where Hunter Biden gave that public statement. Could Swalwell potentially be in trouble here for, if nothing else, aiding and abetting?
Yeah, I don't think that this would constitute a crime, but it certainly raises serious questions under the House rules. I've never seen anything quite like that. You know, there's plenty of members that associate with unpopular causes. What's different here is that Swalwell reserved congressional space. That is congressional space through his office, presumably using his staff, to defy the subpoena, a valid subpoena of the House. This is a former impeachment manager for the House. So the question is, what does the House do about that? I mean, they have a lot of options, from censure to looking at whether he should be allowed to continue on committees. He's already been thrown off one committee, or at least barred from being a member of the Intelligence Committee. But the key here is really that we need to know to what extent did he not only facilitate but encourage what could be a federal crime. And in my view, it was federal criminal contempt of what Hunter did on that day.
Jason Smith, who's the House Ways and Means Committee chairman, thinks that Hunter Biden not only might have been involved in some sort of criminal activity, and potentially by association Swalwell as well, but he says that Hunter Biden has precipitated a constitutional crisis. Listen to what he said.
It's clearly a two-tier justice system. The fact that Hunter Biden was supposed to be in the halls of that building going through a congressional subpoena through depositions, and he defied that by standing on the footsteps of the Capitol and doing a press conference, the fact that he is the president's son and he's doing that is creating a very severe constitutional crisis.
Is that the case? Is that an overstatement? How do you read it?
Well, I certainly agree with the chairman's view of the gravity of what occurred. I wouldn't call it a crisis. I think people call things constitutional crisis. We can handle things like this. We have laws. He could be criminally charged. This isn't a particularly difficult lift legally to bring a contempt action against him. But what's really breathtaking here is that the Democrats who have defended him did this precise approach. That is, they had witnesses come in for depositions before they appeared in public hearings. And that includes Eric Swalwell, who participated in that. And there's lots of reasons why you do that. But it doesn't, none of that matters. You're not allowed to say, I'm going to respond to a subpoena in the way that I want to, when I want to. I mean, that sense of entitlement is what makes this all breathtaking.
Professor Turley, always great to get your legal take on things. Really appreciate it.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.